For me, Morgan feels like a mixture of Splice meets Ex Machina that tries to be a suspenseful thriller for the first two-thirds of the movie and build up to an action-packed thriller at the last act. Still not as good as Splice or Ex Machina, but I enjoyed it. Now, Morgan is this government-funded experiment where they have artificially created a humanoid being. The first two attempts went horribly wrong, and this is the first one that has made real progress and real growth. And of course, her name is Morgan. But the first scene at the beginning of this movie shows that something went horribly wrong. She got really angry and attacked one of the doctors. Now enter our main character, played by Kate Mara. She is this corporate risk management consultant, and she's there to assess the situation, figure out whether this experiment should be terminated or continue going. And as you'd expect from a film like this, things escalate and things go really horribly wrong. Now that's as far as I want to get into the actual plot of the movie, because there are some twists and turns, very predictable twists and turns, but ones that I actually enjoyed still. I think overall the acting is really good in this film. Yes, there isn't that much dimension to a lot of the characters. Many of them are one note and stereotypical. But for some movies that works, and for this movie it did work for me. And it definitely works as long as the actors perform well. And there is a lot of pretty big actors, or at least very familiar actors, throughout the film. There's a lot of scientists on this team, and so there's a bunch of different smaller roles. There's plenty of people I was surprised that were in the movie, and ones that I did see from the trailer, but definitely enjoyed performances of Toby Jones, Jennifer Jason Leigh was in it, Michelle Yeoh, which I've seen in a lot of films, and of course Paul Giamatti. He's only in it for a little bit of the movie, but of course his big scene is obviously in the trailer. There's also some other people I didn't realize were in it, such as Rose Leslie, who was Ygritte in Game of Thrones. But I think there are two roles that stand out and could be the most unforgiving roles of the film. The roles of our main character, who is this corporate risk management consultant, who's very cold and unapproachable and sort of fake smiles, pretends to sort of care because it's her job, but not really caring. And Anya Taylor-Joy's character, who is Morgan, the experiment, who could be the most alien of the people because she was born and raised from a test tube sort of thing, right? She was artificially made, and so she's going to be the more obscure, the more alien of the people. And so those could be the most unforgiving roles, because I'm sure plenty of people will see the movie and think, these are such boring characters, I don't care about any of what's happening with them. Because those roles have to be cold and calculative, have to be sort of this really unemotional person. And I think it takes a really great actor or actress to be able to convey such a character with interest and feel like there's something deep going on within them. Personally, I think Kate Mara and Anya Taylor-Joy did amazing jobs as these two characters, because it was actually enjoyable to watch them and realize there's a lot more going on with their character than the movie makes it look like it. Like, take for instance Kate Mara's character. She's supposed to be cold, she's supposed to be calculative, she's not really supposed to bond with these people or even care about them, but sort of pretend that she cares about them just to sort of ease them. So basically everything she does is a bit of a manipulation and sort of a fake smile. And she really comes across as that particular thing. Now in the movie it does blatantly point this out, from some characters realizing that it's all just an act for her. But I don't think that undermines Kate Mara's performance, and I gotta say, I was very interested in this character despite it maybe being cold and unentertaining and unengaging for most people. I can see how people might find it to be a really bad performance, but I think it's in the subtleties, in the facial expressions, in the sort of awkward, pretending to care sort of way that really makes it effective. And I think Anya Taylor-Joy did a really great job as Morgan. She was in The Witch. She was our main character in that movie. I thought she was absolutely awesome in that movie. Same with the entire cast, honestly. And in Morgan, she shines again. She's not as great of, it's not as great of a performance as The Witch, but The Witch is just a better movie, I think. But in Morgan, she sort of parallels Kate Mara's character. And at the beginning of the film, I thought, oh, this is all an act, because she talks so logically, so unemotional, and so when she's pretending, and so when she's getting sad and emotional, and like I didn't really mean to do that and very apologetic, I almost thought, okay, maybe she's acting, pretending to feel when she really doesn't, and Kate Mara is gonna see into it because that's what Kate Mara is doing. And so there was sort of this uneasy feeling with Morgan, and then as the movie progressed, as I realized the twist of what she's there for and what she's being created for, then I realized, okay, maybe that really wasn't all an act and she really was genuine and really can't control herself. But her actions definitely are purposeful by the end of it. It almost had The Boy feel, where the antagonist of the film is someone that I start to sympathize for towards the middle of the film, but then realize, yeah, that person's still the antagonist by the end of it. Now, is Morgan anything particularly groundbreaking in this type of genre where it's basically an experiment gone wrong? Not completely. It is pretty stereotypical, pretty cliched in moments, but the execution of it was still nice and enjoyable. There is a bit of a slow build, and as we're getting to know some of the characters, even though they are stereotypical and a little bit more one-dimensional, we get to know a little bit of the team as Kate Mara is interviewing each person or coming across each person before she sees Morgan. We basically get to know what the team is and how they function and how they became a close-knit group and really do care for Morgan, and we see it through that outside perspective of Kate Mara. So I do think the film does a really good job at sticking to Kate Mara's perspective, occasionally doing Morgan's perspective as some of the chaos happens at the end of the film. And to be honest, Kate Mara's perspective of seeing it through an outsider's view makes sense for the film and makes sense for the sort of theme going on throughout the film. Now, I thought there was a very particular and unique theme to it that I enjoyed about the movie, and that's sort of this struggle or this conflict. Maybe I'm looking into it too deeply, but it felt like there was definitely a conflict between sort of logic, cold, calculative decision-making with emotional decision-making. There was a clash between logic and emotion, cold, calculative thinking, and really emotional development. And in essence, by the end of the film, when you realize what this whole mission was about, what this experiment was about, and how the results affected the future of the government's funding, then you realize, yeah, it is totally all about that. I'm trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but if you've seen the movie and think about that theme and think about some of the decisions some of the characters are making, and maybe you'll realize, hey, I could probably enjoy it a little bit better on my second viewing. But at that same time, it is sort of a double-edged sword, because even though it's unique to the movie and feels perfect for the movie, it does make it feel like it's lacking something. What the film really seems to be lacking is character development, emotional bonds for these characters, being able to care about the characters in the way that you want a movie to feel. We don't know about much of the team members other than that they're a close-knit unit. They care about Morgan. They make some really stupid decisions because they want to keep her safe. Again, sort of the conflict with logical reasoning versus emotional reasoning. And you really don't get any character building throughout the movie except for little clips and videos of when Morgan was young and the scientists were caring for her. There's some backstory with at least one of the scientists of this horrible experiment that went wrong earlier on that sort of builds a world and builds what the government is doing with different experiments, which leads into the conflict at the end, or at least the results at the end. But you don't really get to know these characters all that much. Now, it does become really action heavy towards the end of the film when things go chaotic. And there are fight sequences throughout this movie that might seem like, hey, that's a little out of place for this movie. I wasn't expecting that kind of fighting. It all makes sense in the long run, especially when you realize what Morgan's true purpose is. But at that same time, it could be jarring if you don't know that going into the film and then suddenly seeing these fight sequences where they're doing some sort of martial arts, or at least highly trained combative skills. Which I have to say, the fight choreography in the movie was pretty good. I just wish I could see a little bit more of it because it's not really shaky cam, it's not really fast editing. There is fast editing and there's really close up versions of the fight. It doesn't really feel like it's using camera techniques that are trying to hide bad choreography. It looks like it's good choreography, but just directed and filmed in a way that doesn't look all that great. And I think there is a moment in the movie where I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be the end, this is how this is going to happen, and it doesn't happen, and then I just felt a little bummed because it felt like a missed opportunity. But overall, the ending was still good and entertaining. Now, I don't think this is a great movie. I don't think this is something really superior and very original. It's definitely interesting enough, and there are themes through it that I liked, and unfortunately those themes will make or break the film for you. But in the end, I'm going to give Morgan 3 stars. So did you see Morgan? What did you think about it? Go ahead and comment below. And if you like this video and you want to see more, please subscribe and check out my movie reviews of 2015 and 2016. As always, this is Bruce Gifford, and this was Just My Opinion.